We're Kim and Al. Last year, we made some pretty big changes. We retired, sold our house in the city, and moved north to an old farm homestead at the end of its life. Our plan is to build an off-grid home ourselves. This year, with our solar and septic systems completed, as well as basic four-season shelter, we're ready to take on the challenge of building our forever home. We're excited to share our experience as we continue to create this new life on the North River. This week we got a lot more snow, which also means not a lot of sun, so we had to be extra mindful with our power consumption. We try to avoid using our generator as much as possible, and haven't since Christmas, just before we got the additional batteries. Luckily, we're always able to busy ourselves with gathering wood, shoveling snow, and collecting water from the river. With a sunny day in the forecast, we plan to start the service wall, when we could run the power tools. But when the sun didn't arrive, we used the generator. The very next day, the weather started to cooperate and made up for the last 4 days.
To get by, we're one step closer to find ourselves a perfect place, a feeling you just can't deny. So come on over, 'cause I could never live without you. Everywhere we go, nobody knows we're waiting for the time to let go and do what's right for us. Started out here, way beyond the tracks, the story of us and how we never look back. 'Cause this is our time, this
So we finished the service wall this week, and the reason that was a little bit tricky was because we had to actually plan out the way that our bathroom is going to be eventually when we do that, which we're not going to be doing any time in the near future, but we needed to figure out how big the toilet was going to be, where we were going to have the sink, and so that took a little bit of extra planning and time, and it was kind of a pain in the butt doing this wall just because we had to move everything that we have at this end to the other end, which basically means that we can't, get the water as easily, and
it's just a tight space.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of room. So.
It's very Tetris-y. You have to, slide something out of the way to move something else in, and so just pain in the butt. But as Kim mentioned, right, we were learning from our previous, kind of challenges, stumbling blocks. So we I took out, pen and electronic paper, and we kind of figured out how we wanted the bathroom to work, and ensure that before we close up, because we had to drill through the studs to make room for the pipe and all that stuff for the sink. So all that's I think we've got that squared away the way we like it. Like if you see the drain for the sink is right above the drain for the shower, I want to do like an integrated sink shower system, because it's going to be kind of like a tiny house style bathroom. Not a lot of room in here in the grand scheme once it's a shop, so I wanted to keep the bathroom relatively small but still functional. So sink, shower, toilet.
What's going to be cool about this bathroom too is in our old house we had a bathroom that was added on afterwards on the main floor, and it was always a little bit cold in there.
Oh, a little bit cold. That's an exaggeration. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It was in the house. It was originally like a little porch. So you walked out and the back corner of the house was open, and I guess they bricked that up, I think in the 40s or whatever it was, and they turned it into a bathroom, but they didn't insulate the crawl space underneath, and it's still just a lath and plaster and no insulation in the walls. So when it got really cold in the winter, it would be just terrible, like just unearthly cold.
Which was something that we wanted to avoid in the future, just because it's a bathroom. You want to be comfortable in it. So, with this wall and the double insulation, this bathroom is going to be nice and cozy warm, and we're not going to have that same problem.
Oh yeah, I'm going to put in that dry core panel subfloor with the foam insulation and that. But like I was saying, the pipes in the place in TO had actually froze one winter, as we were trying to deal with that uninsulated crawl space, and we ended up making it worse. We basically insulated that space, but then isolated the pipes against the wall, so they got even colder. So we had a real good snap, and the pipes froze up, and then when they thawed, it burst in the basement. It was all kinds of fun.
So we did eventually fix it all, but even insulating it and doing everything that we could as we were renovating, it was still cold in there. Like we really weren't, it's something that needed to be done when they were building it.
It's
so
common sense, but worth repeating. Like get it right the first time if you can. Plan it all out, everything, because retrofitting it can be really nightmarish. Getting into spaces, especially if you're trying to avoid like tearing stuff apart to rebuild it. I think that's why often when people get contractors, they're not really interested in, we'll try and just, minimal invasive repair or whatever, or alteration. It's like, no, we're just going to take it to the studs and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
It really is difficult refinishing or restoring.
Yeah. So then the other thing is, this week it was Al's birthday. So he turned 46.
Yay me.
But what's pretty trippy about that is, when we were planning this, for the 10 years that we were living in Toronto and renovating our house, every year we would take Al's birthday week off and we would go somewhere. And on those trips we would also, plan and imagine.
Just talking about our future retirement plans and that.
Essentially. And so, it's pretty neat to be here and just have this a reality after all this time. So many of those trips we got ideas from the places that we'd stay. Like in Zion, we stayed in a really cool place.
It was like a loft kind of like open concept chalet kind of hotel room.
Yeah.
Kitchenette and everything, all kind of studio floor plan.
Yeah. And we got a lot of ideas from that place, because it was the one wall was all windows and it was facing the mountains. And so, a lot of the things that we are doing here, and you know, it's really trippy. It's really neat to finally be here and think back about those trips.
We're not on vacation thinking about, you know, the future, where the future is now. We're here now doing this thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And right in time, like, you know, so he just turned 46, so we got our freedom 45.
Yeah.
Because there were so many times where we just didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off. And, you know, it's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So that's about it for this week. We're going to have to finish that wall still, and there's some other stuff we want to do as well. We have to get that post finally in.
Anchored in. So there's no real, and again, I'm not a structural engineer, but just the way this place is built, any uplift on the building is going to happen at the walls. So I'm not really worried about this whole ceiling being lifted, but I still want to do the right thing. So it's going to be after the fact, but I'm going to use my hammer drill and drill down into the concrete. And I purposefully poured a foot of cement underneath where the post would go, just so I had a really good footing for it. And I'll drill into that, put in screws with big fat washers, and then I'll cast concrete around those bolts, so it'll hold the whole thing in down nice and tight. But again, for that to have any kind of uplift would mean that the roof has already been pulled away from the wall, so we're already in a Wizard of Oz situation at that point.
Yeah. So anyway, still lots to do, but we're pretty pumped about having this wall up, because that's not going to be that big a deal to do this last part. No. And
Two pieces of
it's
drywall.
Cleaned up in here again too, so that's nice.
Yeah. All is as it should be.
Yes. All right. See you later, guys.
Bye, folks.